Welcome back. We are officially on day 6 of Unit 1. Today's actually going to be a pre-lab. And this pre-lab is going to give you all the information that you need in order to complete a virtual lab on Tuesday. So it's super important that you understand today's lesson in order to prepare you for that virtual lab. All right, so today's aim, how do you use a compound light microscope properly? So by the end of today's lesson, you'll be able to tell me, how do we use this lovely thing? So I do now, read and annotate the following passage. This is an intro to the microscope. Micro refers to tiny, and scope refers to view or to look at. Microscopes are used to make more detailed observations and measurements of objects too small for the naked eye. The compound light microscope is the most important instrument used in education today. It is an instrument containing 2 lenses which magnifies and a variety of knobs to resolve the picture. It is a rather simple piece of equipment to understand and use. All right, I then want you to define the word resolve. Now I actually want you guys to see if you can define this on your own before I tell you what the definition is. So look at this sentence and tell me, what do you think? Wait for it. What do you think this word means? All right, so if we look at that sentence, we can define the word resolve as to make more clear. So microscopes allow us to make objects more clear. Now I'm going to actually walk you guys through each one of these parts of the microscope using this as a demo. So let's see if I can unshare my screen without stopping this recording. And I think we're good. Okay. So let's go through each of these steps. So this lovely piece of equipment is a microscope. So the very first thing that is on your picture to define is the eyepiece. This is going to be your eyepiece up here. When you're using a microscope, the eyepiece is what allows you to view the specimen. And something important to note is that your eyepiece has a lens in it which automatically magnifies that image 10 times. So we're always going to count our eyepiece as a magnification of 10x. So you probably want to write that on your paper. I'm going to write it on mine. So your eyepiece has a magnification of 10x. Right? The next thing on your paper is the revolving nose piece. If you look right here on your microscope, this is going to be your revolving nose piece. It rotates, so you're able to switch between lenses. So it actually houses 3 separate lenses that we're going to call objective lenses. Okay? Now, we see that there are 3 objective lenses here, but this here, we're actually only going to use 2. So this lens right here that has a red ring around it, I want you to pretend like that does not exist, because we're never going to use it. The only 2 lenses we're going to use this year are this yellow lens right here that we're going to call low power objective, and this lens right here with the blue ring that we call the high power objective. So when we're viewing things through the low power objective, this yellow lens right here, that's going to magnify our image 10 times. Again, so remember our eyepiece is 10x and our low power objective right here is also 10x. So please write down that the low power objective also has a magnification of 10x. Okay, but when we're viewing things through the high power objective, this blue lens right here, that's going to be a magnification of 40x. So please write down on your paper that the high power objective has a magnification of 40x. All right, moving down, we've got our stage. So when it comes time to view a specimen using the microscope, you're going to place that specimen on this black square right here. This is called our stage. So I've got a slide right here, and I'm going to place it on my stage, and I'm actually going to hold it in place using these metal clips right here. These are my stage clips, and these stage clips allow me to hold that slide in place so it doesn't move around. So you can see if I move this microscope, the slide doesn't go anywhere. Okay, now when it comes time to actually look through the microscope to view your specimen, you're going to use these two tools right here. So when I view the specimen through the eyepiece, notice I've got it on the low power objective right now. If I want to make that object become in focus or become more clear, I'm going to use this coarse focus or coarse adjustment right here. So I'm going to twist it and turn it until I'm able to find, let's see where my object is. There it is, until I see the object come into focus. But you'll notice that when you're using the coarse adjustment, the image isn't as crystal clear as it can be. And because it's not as crystal clear as it can be, we're then going to use what we call our fine adjustment, which is this small knob right here, to kind of round out the edges of that picture and make the details more clear. So you're able to see the smaller details by using this fine focus and getting it as clear as it possibly can be. So now that I've perfectly focused my image, which unfortunately you can't see, if I want to view it any closer, I'm just going to turn this revolving nose piece and then wait until I hear that click. That means the high power objective is then being used. So now, because I've already focused it, I don't need to touch that coarse adjustment anymore. If the edges are a little bit unclear and I need to see a little bit of the edges more clearly, I can use this fine focus to see the details more clearly. Okay, so there is our focusing agents. What is next? Let's see. All right, I'm actually going to take this slide off. So I'm going to remove the stage clips and say goodbye to our slide. Okay, now what actually allows us to view this specimen is the presence of light down here. So this lamp is what illuminates our object so that we're able to see it more clearly. So this down here is your lamp or your light that gives us the ability to view the image. But what actually allows that light to come through is this little circle right here. So on the stage, there's actually a portion in the center that is clear that allows that light to shine through, that we are able to see it. But you can control the amount of light that comes through by rotating this disc right here. That's called the diaphragm. And if you watch this center right here, you can see changing the diaphragm changes how much light comes through that circle. All right, so this is our diaphragm. Okay, let's see what's next. All right, this is your arm of the microscope. And this arm is what connects the base to the revolving nose piece. Okay, so this holds the top half of the microscope together. And this bottom part right here is called the base. This holds the entire microscope together. And whenever we hold a microscope, just realized you can't see my face, I'm sorry. Whenever we hold a microscope, we want to make sure that we hold both the arm and the base. We never hold a microscope like this in lab, because if you drop it, it's super expensive. So make sure that when you hold a microscope, you use both the base and the arm. All right, let's see if there's anything else I need to cover. I actually think that's all of it. All right, let's see. I'm gonna bounce back over to the worksheet, and if I missed anything, we'll come back. So I'm gonna share my screen again. All right, so now that we have covered all of these parts of the microscope, I want us to review what each of those parts do. So part B, microscope vocabulary. We've got the structures on the left, and we've got the functions on the right. This should be a review of everything I just covered. So number one, diaphragm. Remember, the diaphragm is going to be this right here. And I told you guys that this controls the amount of light that enters the eyepiece, or that is able to be seen. So the diaphragm regulates the amount of light entering the scope. So 1 is going to be B. Number 2, a mirror or lamp. On this microscope, it's a lamp. Remember, that's the light at the bottom that actually physically allows light to enter our microscope. So a mirror or a lamp, where is it? Is E, the source of light directed into the microscope. Number 3, eyepiece. Remember, that's the bit at the top where I'm going to put my eye against so I can view the specimen. And I told you guys that the eyepiece has a magnification of 10x. So where is eyepiece? Eyepiece is going to be H, contains a lens capable of 10x magnification. All right, next up, we've got objectives. Remember, I told you guys we're going to use 2 different objectives this year. We've got the low power, which is 10x, and we have the high power, which is 40x. So I'm going to write down 10x or 40. Objective. So that's going to be C, is attached to the nose piece and contains a lens. Right, I just told you guys the revolving nose piece is what turns to change from one objective to another. That's going to be F. The coarse adjustment is this bigger knob right here. That's the very first thing you're going to move when you want to focus your specimen. So the coarse adjustment brings objects into rapid but coarse focus. But after we've used the coarse focus, we're then going to use the fine focus to get those smaller details more in focus and make the image a little bit more clear. So that's going to be G, brings objects slowly into fine focus. Number 8, the stage. Remember, that is this black box right here where you're going to place your slide on top of. So that's going to be J, the platform to support the slide. Stage clips were these metal pieces right here that physically hold the slide in place. So they clamp down so it doesn't slip around. So 9 is going to be D, holds the glass slide and specimen in place. Number 10, arm, is this piece along the side. This is what holds the objectives above the stage. And finally, 11, base, is what supports the whole microscope. That's this piece right here at the bottom. All right. So now part B. The entire purpose of a microscope is to magnify images, right? But it's important to note just how much you're magnifying it. So we are going to be calculating magnification. Now don't panic, this isn't going to be like algebra 2. This is going to be very, very simple simple multiplication, and I promise you can do it. So in order to calculate the magnification, you're going to always use this formula right here. And that is eyepiece lens magnification times the objective lens magnification equals the total magnification. So you're going to multiply the magnification of the eyepiece by the objective lens in order to get your total magnification. So I gave you guys those numbers earlier for a reason. Remember, I said that the eyepiece lens magnification is always going to be 10x. So we can actually go ahead and fill that in right here in our table. Your eyepiece magnification is always going to be 10x. But we deal with 2 different objective lenses. Your low power is going to be 10x, and your high power is 40x. So let's fill that in right here. The low power objective is going to be 10x, and your high power objective is 40x. So using this formula, in order to calculate the total magnification, you have to multiply these numbers. So what we're going to do is you'll multiply 10x times 10x. So that means that your low power total magnification is 100x. In order to calculate the high power objective, or high power total magnification, you have to multiply 10x times 40x, which is going to equal 400x. Now, it is super, super important that you include the letter x at the end of that, because x counts as your unit of measurement, or your unit of magnification. So you can't just say that the total magnification is 100. You have to say that the total magnification is 100x, because that is the unit that you are working with. All right, and that is officially the end of your pre-lab. So now what I need you guys to do is click on this link at the bottom that will take you to your exit ticket. Open that link, fill out these questions, and submit these notes on Google Classroom. Remember that this pre-lab is super important because it will prepare you for your first virtual lab that we'll be doing on Tuesday. So if you have any questions about what I just covered, send me a message on Remind or on Google Classroom and I will help you out ASAP. Have a wonderful day and I will see you guys later.